I need to kind of um, recycle something that I had said a while back about man evolving. Now, I don't think that man evolves from, say, a chimpanzee or a gorilla and goes upon the steps and becomes man. I really think that, well, I think that that doesn't happen. Else there would be tribes of half human, half apes walking around in their own society. So that doesn't happen. But I think man does evolve. I thought about this 2 nights ago and I wanted to bring it to you. Um, think about the gestation period of a baby, an infant, when it isn't born yet, still in its mother's womb. In fact, at the time of conception. So you have this little, uh, I kind of want to say amoeba, uh, that's swimming around and kind of like a tadpole. You know, it's got this little teeny weeny body and a tail just going at the speed of lightning behind it, and then it with the thousands or let's say hundreds of little spermatozoas that surround the egg. Only one has that chemical code in its little body to enter the egg, the ovum, right? So that's a miracle. That's beautiful. And then all the rest of them can't get in. Now, I'm not dealing with twins or fraternal brothers or whatever you want to call them. I'm not dealing with that. I'm just dealing with a single child. And I don't know how twins work anyway, so we can't go down that avenue. Um, so then there this gestation period where the egg changes. That no longer and that little amoeba that I talked about with the squiggling tail, the tail is cut off, it drops off. So you just have that little teeny weeny bod, body. Haven't had my coffee, sorry folks. So you have that teeny weeny body, and it's dividing in half. It's doing all these wonderful things within the human body. It's beautiful what goes on, and words have not been made that could describe how beautiful that process is. So then, when that particular gestation period is over, when the cell stops dividing and stuff, you have a little bit of you have a little uh, what would I call it? I'm going to call it a being. You have a little being about the size of this that attaches to the wall of its host, the mom, and it starts to formulate. So you have different types of um, uh, articles that go on, different types of humanoids. You have one that looks like type of like a fish, uh, which is amazing. It really looks like some sort of reptile going on there. And then it transmutes again and again and again. And then you have this really small human. And then the heart is beating, and there's blood flowing throughout its little body, and it's feeding the brain, and it's growing little uh, hands and fingers and toes, and it's really wonderful. And I'm so jazzed. I'm so amused and amazed by this process. So that's a type of evolving. Then the infant is born after 9 months. That's the gestation period for humans. Obviously, everybody knows that, right? So the infant is born, and then from age 0 to age, let's say 2, miraculous things continue to happen. You have this little tiny baby. I want to show you something. See if I can find it as a demonstration, which I cannot find. Ah, sorry about that. So you have, let's say this is a baby. Let's say this is a human baby. So you have a human baby about this size, and this is a little bear, teddy bear. So you have a human baby about this size, and it can't walk, it doesn't talk, but it lets you know when it's hungry, and it lets you know um, when it needs to be changed, and it sleeps a lot. during that sleeping process, it's growing. It's I believe it's aware of its surroundings, and it's learning. And then in a few months, you have this toddler who is crawling around and trying to talk and uh, laughing, and that's the one human emotion that is exclusive to us, to humans. Laughter, that sense of humor that we all have. So you have a baby that's going from this size to a larger size. See this size, right? And he or she is crawling around and learning. Uh, Learning about its surroundings, making a decision as to who's mom and who's dad, and that's quite wonderful. Then you have you have a toddler, and that's a type of evolving. So the human baby is now evolved from not being able to move around. It's always in a crib. It's being taken care of 100%. Then you have a toddler that can hold its own bottle and feed itself, hold its own bottle in its mouth and feed itself. Um, and jumping around in the crib, and he or she is walking around and taking little tiny baby steps, and that's beautiful. This is beautiful evolving that's going on. Then a few years after that, say about 5 or 7 years old, the child is going to school. What an amazing evolving that's going on. So from a little tiny baby that can't fend for itself and needs help 100% to now a child who can tell you, oh, I want this type of cereal for breakfast, or I want to watch this cartoon, and dad, let's watch this movie, and mom, I want chocolate milk, wanting and being able to make decisions, little tiny decisions for him or her. And that's wonderful. What a wonderful process that's going on. And before I get much further, I just had a great friend of mine by the name of Vinny, who he and his wife, Liz, just had their second child. And something just popped up on my screen. Sorry. Who just had their second child, and she was born about 5 days ago. So the baby is a week old, and her name is Cassandra. And I want to wish every congratulations to Vinny and Liz. Um, and I have not seen the baby as yet. But I want to wish you good luck. I'm so happy and elated that that's going on. And I text you guys and let you know how excited I was about little Cassandra. So congratulations on little Cassandra. Um, uh, so you have this little tiny baby that's, like I said, 100% dependent on parents. Then you have a child that's making her own decisions. Now you go and the child, let's say it's 15 years old, he's going to high school, he or she is going to high school and dealing with a lot of other social events, right? Has its own friends, is learning in school, not being taught by parents, uh, about right and wrong and stuff like that, but learning now much more about the world. They're learning history, they're learning science, they're learning math, everything that's in the world, and the child is absorbing that child from the very beginning is learning, is taking in the brain is soaking in like a sponge 100% of its surroundings, another type of evolving. So this child from 0 to 15 years old has evolved uh, in leaps and bounds and in stature. So you had a little tiny baby, and now you have a being that's walking around who's possibly, I think when I was 15, I was about 5 foot 5'8". I think I had reached my maximum because I'm 5'8" now. So I'm pretty sure by 15, that was it for me. So you have now a child who's 5'8" and definitely wanting to make a lot of his or her own decision. Wants to drive the car, wants to stay out, um, you know, wants to eat cake whenever they want to, and just a plethora amount of things that child is doing. Then from 15 years old to 25, now you have a child who you still consider your baby, right? You're very still much protective of that individual, that human, but it has evolved beyond uh, the nurturing stage. Well, maybe not. Everybody still calls home once a week or twice a week or what have you, and needs to be with their mom and dad for loving and support and advice and all that, going back to the nest. Uh, and continuing to evolve. And maybe by this time, the child who's like 25 years old is now thinking very independently, has his own family, perhaps, is married, and is starting his or her own family. So now you have an independent child with children. And the process goes on. So it's another type of evolving. That child has gone from the state of being a child to being a parent. So that's another type of evolving. And then we're going to move ahead to about 40 years old and the child has different experiences of the world. Maybe he or she has traveled internationally and had that culture of learning different peoples and architecture and history and cuisine. And all of that is wonderful. Another type of evolving and learning. Then you have a person now who's in their 50s and 60s, and the chemical bonds that are in us begin to change. Uh, they've always changed. They have never stayed the same. The RNA, DNA cells in our body continue to change and grow. And I don't want to use the word mutate, but they change, right? So you have an infant who's brand new, everything is brand spanking new, and then you have a 50-year-old who the chemical bonds in the body are slowing down, are breaking down. And this is a life process. And then, luckily, that 50-year-old will go on to be 80 and 90 years old. And then the nothing lasts forever. So the heart gets weak and it stops. And then we expire. And we don't like to talk about that. We don't like to think about it. But that's part of humanistic qualities that happens within us. I think animals handle death a lot better than humans do. I think that, when elephants know that they're going to die, they go to their own elephant graveyards and um, they lay down and they die. Humans, we don't do that. We may prepare with insurance and with burial preparations and wills and stuff like that, but for the most part, we don't want to think about it, and it makes us really sad to think about that. But yeah, humans do evolve, but we evolve in our own ways, and we don't evolve from species to species. We stay within our own species, and we evolve. And yay! This is not a half-hour video, only 13 minutes and 42 seconds. So I'm going to say thank you everybody for tuning in, watching, and your time and patience. And always like, share, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell. Click on that notification bell, smash on that notification bell, and I'll see you again real soon.